What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Realistic CM. It's episode number 95. We start today's episode by seeing our opponents for the Copa del Rey semi-final. And as you can tell by the title, it is indeed Real Madrid and El Clasico derby in the semi-finals of the Copa del Rey. Sevilla versus Atletico Madrid is the other tie. On the back of our win against Eibar, now taking on a completely different type of opponent. Real Madrid over two legs, first one coming at the Bernabeu. That'll be our second game of today's episode. Of course, don't forget they beat us in the Super Copa back in January, so now we're looking for revenge and trying to get our first win over Real Madrid since joining Barcelona. Still, for the first game of today's episode, back to matters in La Liga on the back of the win over Eibar in the Copa del Rey last day. Malaga away from home, taking them on. They had the first chance of the game, actually. Got lucky as well. Chip shot going over the bar as it was still 0-0. But 26 minutes in, a chance for us to take our lead. Fati rolling through, Moise Keane. And I mentioned this a couple episodes ago, and I'll say it once again. Joining this Barcelona team, it kind of felt very similar to Arsenal, knowing what we wanted to do, developing a core of players that could play for the same nationality as the club. With Arsenal, we did that with our English core, and of course bringing back former academy players for an La Masia youth setup, but also having players here already that are so good on the offensive end and not needing to look for a new striker. With Arsenal, we had Luis Suarez. He won the Golden Boot in our second year at the Emirates Stadium. He was incredible. And Moise Keane, paying tribute to Charles Bull. I love that. It's fantastic. Second highest scorer in the team, second highest scorer in La Liga. He made it 2-0, bagging a brace in the first half, and in the end that was how the game will finish as well. I included this highlight, by the way, just real briefly on this now. Some of you guys have been saying, well, for a while now, you know, how come you don't try and do halfway line goals anymore? Now, for my long-term subscribers, of course, you would remember, I used to try and catch the goalkeeper off the line from, you know, beyond the halfway line or around the halfway line quite a lot, and I've done it once successfully with Nathaniel Klein in my FIFA 14 PS4 career mode with Millwall and Napoli and Spurs, and then Millwall again. I did it with Nathaniel Klein when managing Spurs, and I can't remember the team I was facing, maybe Southampton, can't remember now, but yeah, I managed to catch the goalkeeper out from the halfway line once and only once. Some of you guys ask me why I don't do it anymore, or why I don't try and do it anymore. The honest truth is this: I just don't think it's possible to do it like you could before. Now, I know there are probably ways to do it where, you know, perhaps the goalkeeper has a very poor you know, judgment and sort of flaps at the ball and maybe it goes in, but it's very hard to actually catch them off the line, if you know what I mean. And I think it's probably because the goalkeepers nowadays, they don't tend to stray as far out from their goal as they used to. So I do give it a go every now and then. I haven't even got close though for a couple of years. Really, I think since the game changed, and as we talked about it many times before, from FIFA 15 to FIFA 16, the game changed from more of an arcade style of game to a more simulation based game. Due to the animations and the movement of the players and positioning of the players as well, you'll notice that goalkeepers now, they rarely stray off their line. If you're even close to the halfway line, they're normally around the 6-yard area, so there's just not going to be enough time for you to catch them out like you used to be able to do so, when sometimes they'd hover around the penalty area line or possibly even further out of the penalty area, depending on just how far away you were. So I do give it a go every now and then, for those that do ask, but I don't think it's really possible nowadays to do it, unless again the goalkeeper just misses the ball or something ridiculous. You don't really catch them off the line, if you know what I mean. David Beckham versus Wimbledon-esque. Anyway, for the second game of today's episode, it was indeed the El Clasico Copa del Rey semi-final first. Then go away to Bernabeu against Real Madrid. So many amazing El Clasicos over the years, we know, including in Copa del Rey games. Heading into this one here, I wanted revenge after they beat us in the Super Copa. We started off on the front foot. Really, all the chance came to Barcelona. Tammy Abraham gave us the lead, and then late on in the game, Mikel Oyarzabal doubles it, turning in a great ball across the ground to make it 2-0. So felt really in control in this game as well. In the Super Copa, it was kind of even for a while, and then after I went down to 10 men, I kind of knew they'd win it, which they did, scoring those two late goals through Vinicius. But in this game, I felt much more in control and finally managed to get our first win at 3 attempts over Real Madrid. So for the first time we win an El Clasico, we win by 2-1. Martin Odegaard, the Norwegian, did grab a late goal in the game to keep the tie well, let's just say, in the balance, if you will, because of course that goal means if they go to the new camp, they'll still need to score 2 due to the away goal ruling, but they're definitely capable of doing that, no doubt about it. So it gives them, if nothing else, a glimmer of hope. That late goal there, he held on to the 2-0 victory, I'll be feeling a lot more confident, but even so, tie's not over yet. We are 90 minutes away from the Copa del Rey final, and delighted to get my first win against Real Madrid in the series since joining Barcelona, but tie's not over yet. Second leg comes at the start of next month, and we still only lead by 1. It's half time in the tie, it's not over yet, but still, for the third game of 5 in today's list of back to matters in La Liga, taking on Eibar, who of course will be in the Copa del Rey quarterfinals now, and taking us on in La Liga here at the new camp. Right now, looking to extend our lead at the top of the table to double digits as we come into the business end of the season. So right from the very first whistle in this game, looking to get some early goals, and we get an early brace through you know who, Ansu Fati, with 2 goals early on as we take a very commanding lead so soon on into the game. In the second half, still leading by 2. Kind of felt off the gas pedal a little bit because we had Spurs in midweek, and I didn't want to tire out too many of my starters by playing a high tempo, high pressing type of game. So kind of conserved energy, knocked the ball around a little bit, but with 20 minutes to go, had a chance to make it 3, and this was a bit of a bizarre goal, I must admit. Mark Cucurella gets his 3rd of the season, number 3 with number 3 for the game and for the season for him personally. But this is a really bizarre goal because we were going on the break. There was like 3 or 4 different options for me to pass to, but they were all getting marked. So I thought, well, I'll try and beat the last man. But I didn't do a skill move or anything. I sort of just walked around him. You know, there was no skill. There was no agile bit of movement. I just kind of turned to the left and then found a bit of space to shoot and luckily scored as well. But yeah, Cucurella made it 3-0 in that game. So big win there against Eibar. And again, our dominance in La Liga continues. I keep on mentioning it, but we lost to Real Valladolid in our very first game against Barcelona manager. You have no idea how annoyed I am about that right now, because I thought by this point we'd have lost like 2, 3, maybe 4 times, but instead at the moment, that might be the only game that prevents us having, as things stand, you know, you never know, an undefeated season, possibly. Can't remember the last time I've done it in FIFA. I know I've done it before, but I mean, seriously, I've been trying for a long time now. I haven't managed to pull it off yet, but that might be the only game we lose with Barcelona this season. It's been standing La Liga, but of course, still a long way to go. The season's not done yet, although we are now firm favourites to win La Liga title. Still following out, we saw that Sober, he's at 90. He's such a beast of a centre-half in this game, so I thought I'd show you his stats there before the 4th game of 5 in today's episode, first leg of our Champions League round of 16 away against our former North London rivals Spurs. So with my Arsenal connection, of course, I was going to try and win this game here pretty convincingly away in North London. Took the lead early on, once again, nice little cut into the middle, no way Arsenal would have finished. And then in a very lackluster game, there's not really much going on in this one. Neither side attacking too much. 12 minutes to go, Moise Keane gets our 2nd of the game, and a big one there. So 2 away goals in North London. Again, in complete control, really. Spurs weren't causing us much problems at all. I kept Harry Kane quiet for practically the entire game. Great save by Ter Stegen, kept us leading by 2. Was trying to desperately hold on to a clean sheet at this point to make sure he wouldn't lose it heading into the second leg, but Chuck Wees would find a consolation, if nothing else, in the game for Spurs, but a chance to get back in the tie. 2 on the final score, we win the leg. Spurs will need at least 2 at the new camp. 1 won't be enough, so we're still in the driving seat, but Spurs grabbing a late goal, just like Real Madrid did in the Copa del Rey semi-final first leg. Real deja vu there. And real briefly on Spurs, so I wanted to mention this. Obviously, as we know, we saw earlier with Harry Kane, he's now asking for, is it £400,000 a week from Daniel Levy, as he accepts he won't be able to leave Spurs this summer. It's no longer going to happen now. He's still got 3 years left in his contract. I mean, honestly, when he signed that 6-year contract in 2018, I mean, you wouldn't say he sort of dug his own grave. Absolutely not. I'm sure there are assurances when he signed the extension that Spurs are going to be more competitive, going for trophies. You know, they had the League Cup final last year, lest we forget. Of course, they lost it, but they still reached the final. You know, maybe there were certain assurances that they would strengthen more, they would be more competitive in the transfer market. I'm not entirely sure, but it was a very bold decision for him to make, though. You know, a 6-year contract. Are you kidding me? That's a ridiculous amount of time to commit to one club. When, you know, as he said, you know, his main ambition is obviously to win trophies at this point, right? He thinks he's got a better chance of doing that elsewhere than the Spurs, hence why he's wanting to leave this summer. So, again, I'm not going to say he dug his own grave, but he sort of made it very difficult for himself. And primarily, I guess, for the money and the security. If he was going to get a long-term injury, at least he knows he's going to get paid regardless. For his form dips, he's going to get paid regardless. But yeah, very interesting one. Do you think Levy will give him the 400 grand a week, knowing he's still got 3 years left in his contract? Personally speaking, I don't see why Daniel's going to do that. He's not being forced to sell. They had a price tag in mind. Clubs clearly didn't match that valuation for him. So Levy holds all the cards. We discussed this before, and I really can't see him giving Kane a wage increase unless he agrees to even more years on the contract. Would Harry Kane do that? I mean, he's in the prime of his career right now. Would he add another year or two to get 400 grand a week? Well, that way, he'll certainly not be leaving Spurs any time soon. But still, we beat Real Betis in the final game of today's episode, 2-0 away from home. So 14 games to go, 12 points clear of Atletico right now. It does seem as though we are firm favourites to win La Liga title. But the big news, as you would have seen it, Ansu Fati's injury. How bad was that? We're firm favourites to win La Liga. We've got 1 foot in the Copa del Rey final and the Champions League quarter-final. The treble dreams are still on, but they'll be negatively affected big time if Fati's injury is a big one. We'll find out in the next episode. Have a great day, guys. Much love to you all, and I will see you for the next episode of the Realistic CM very soon.